let's first go to, you mentioned a few different ways in which you can do ozone therapeutically. What are your the ones you focus on, which you find safe and effective and accessible?
Well, first of all, I'm probably going to steal your metaphor on the cars. So just so you know, if I'm talking on another podcast, it was
Please
from Freddie.
just quote the Beautifully Broken podcast of Freddie Kimmel. Go for it.
Yeah. But as far as like what forms, I mean, it depends on, we use the term indication. So like what is wrong with the person.
Mm-hmm.
And there are like performance enhancement and just like general biohacking, but I come more from the background of like working with practitioners and patients who have a chronic disease. So that's primarily where I'm most educated in. But
Mm-hmm.
I would say like, there's a lot of different ways to do it. So if you jump into the world of ozone therapy, you'll see a lot of stuff. But the three ways to get like a systemic response, which is like the mitigating of oxidative stress, so reducing that free radical load, creating more antioxidants, improving microcirculation, improving oxygen efficiency, which is our cell's ability to use oxygen. So what that means is you create more energy, which is why people get an energy response from ozone therapy. And then it's really good at modulating the immune system, which means if your immune system is too high, it brings it down. That would be like an autoimmune disorder. Rheumatoid arthritis is like a really common example of that. And then if the immune system is too low, it brings it up. So that's an immune modulation. And it's really good at those four different things: the mitigating of oxidative stress, the microcirculation, the oxygen efficiency, and the immune modulation. It's really, really effective at those. And I usually talk on those 4 points because I feel like those are the 4 most fundamental. It's doing more in the body than that, but those are really 4 fundamental points of ozone therapy. So there's 3 ways to get that response in the body, meaning there's a systemic reaction. Our entire body benefits. And
Yeah.
that would be intravenous, taking the blood out, mixing it with ozone, and then putting it back in. So that has to be done at a clinic. But there's ways that people can do it at home to get the same systemic response, or it's not quite as effective, but it creates the same process or cascade effect in the body. And that would be rectal insufflation. So like an enema, essentially the gas takes 3 to 5 minutes. You don't have to hold it, which is kind of nice. Like if you've done I don't know how into this kind of world your crowd is, but like coffee
We're
enemas,
like
right?
all
Yeah.
into the butt stuff. I mean, it's like
Okay.
very, very, I mean, coffee enemas, you name it. Listen, if it's going to provide a reduction in symptoms or
Yeah.
it's going to provide value to energy, and so we can be more effective in the world, I think everybody's open to the conversation.
Okay. Yeah. My perspective is just get over it. If it helps you to live better, then who cares, really?
Yeah.
But I understand some people have their holdups with stuff, but like coffee enemas, you have to hold for like 15 minutes to get the glutathione response in the liver and some of the detox effects. So you don't have to do that with rectal ozone therapy. And then on that, it also has benefits to the gut, which is really interesting because it's an oxidant going into an anaerobic environment, meaning your gut doesn't like oxygen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it actually, there was like a study done, and I forget how many patients, I think it was like 120 or something, but they had a 76% success rate in reversing dysbiosis with drinking ozone water and doing rectal insufflation, which is really interesting because you would think it would make it worse, right? Putting oxygen into an environment that doesn't like oxygen. But essentially what happens is it's just a small amount of the gas. So the gas goes in and it probably in that local area, meaning, square inch, 2 square inches, it does kill off some of the negative or the positive bacteria and the negative bacteria. But through what it's doing in the immune system and what it's doing through the rest of the body actually is creating a better terrain for your positive bacteria to take place. And so that's why it doesn't mess with the biome. It actually improves it, which I find one of the reasons I'm involved with it, because I just find it super fascinating. How does this thing work with like infertility patients, with gangrene, for dysbiosis? It's just like this whole range of things. And Dr. Tom Levy, I don't know if you know who he is, but he likes to call it magic gas because it's just like our body responds to it in such an incredible way. But so that's rectal insufflation and IVs. And then there's the third systemic option is vaginal insufflation. And that has the systemic response as well as some benefits to the vagina. So if there's like an infection, a lot of infertility patients will use it. And for like infertility, it's not like, yes, this is definitely going to work. It seems to be kind of hit or miss in my experience. But I had this really cool call. Sorry, I'm kind of getting off on these tangents,
No,
but
go on the tangent.
I
I'll
had
bring
this.
us back.
Thank you. I had this really cool call with this girl named Lisa, and she's kind of in my network now, and I've developed more of a relationship with her. But at that time, this was like 2 months ago, I think, we were getting on the call for something business related. So it wasn't related to like, I didn't even know she was a patient of ozone therapy. But anyway, she got on the call and we were talking business for a little bit, and then like 15 minutes went by and her two kids came into the room and she introduced them and started to cry, and I was like, what the heck is going on? And she's like, well, I actually found your stuff like 8 years ago. I was infertile, had spent tens of thousands of dollars, pretty much a decade of just trying to have kids. I did ozone and then I started having kids. And then she was, I believe, working in a hospital, left the hospital, started her ozone clinic, and has these two kids now. So she was just so,
Wow.
so pretty cool.